Pastor John today, he's going to be just talking a little bit about how to choose a location for church planting, and especially when it comes to rural areas, as some of you come from different places that might not be the major cities, but in some of the rural areas. And he's going to share from his own experience of planting a church in the countryside of Japan. And he's going to lead us to think through the question of what is the ideal location for church planting. And so we're really looking forward to having Pastor John come up and share with us. So, Pastor, 목사님, it's all yours. So go ahead and share with us.
Thank you, Seth, and hello, everyone. I'm David John. I'm a missionary sent from Korea, and I'm serving Japanese churches. And I'm very excited to share my story with you tonight. And nothing fancy about my story. It's just another church planting story we all have. But, you could just listen and see you could refresh your hearts, or you could just look into a new insights, and God will guide us through this whole webinar session. So my English is not so great, so I'll try to clear as possible, but if didn't catch you right, you can ask questions at the end of the webinar. So, the question tonight is, what is the ideal location for church planting? Is there, do you think there's an answer for this? We'll see, we'll see. So, let me just introduce my family first. As Seth has told you all, my parents are missionaries. When I was about 10, they decided to go from South Korea to Japan as missionaries. They never asked me if I want to go together, but I had no choice. I just followed them, and I went to Japan. I got there when I was 12, and I went to Japanese public school for 6 years. That's junior high and high school. That's where I learned my Japanese. I never studied Japanese. I studied using Japanese, so my Japanese is quite good. Because I spent all the time those time with Japanese friends. So I didn't want to become a missionary because being missionary is so hard working, and there's a lot of pressures, and it's not something like fun. I didn't feel like it was fun. So I didn't want to become a missionary, but God has different plan for me. So God wanted me to become, or me and my wife to become missionaries. So I devoted myself and came to Japan as missionary in 2012. So I've been working as missionary more than 10 years. So I have one wife, not two or three, just one beautiful wife and four kids. The photo is taken more than a year ago, so it's okay. So let's get into our story today, and the story begins in year in 2017. And I was in the graduate school waiting for my graduation for the seminary, and I just got this phone call from a pastor who's working in Nagoya area, and he was looking for a person who would go out to plant a church in me area. There was this church planting project going on by a denomination called Japan Alliance Christ Church. This is one of the largest denomination, Protestant denomination in Japan. Largest meaning there are 260 churches. That's one of the largest. You get the sense. So he asked me if I want to go to Mie area to plant a church. And I said, "Oh, wait a minute. Where's this Mie thing? I've never been there. I don't know where it is." So I thought, okay, this is not something I want to go because there's no one I know. I spent almost my time in Japan near Tokyo area, so that's familiar place. I have a lot of friends here, but yeah, I know no one there. So it's like crazy being there. So I thought, I don't want to go. So I just wanted to say no. But, it's not so polite to say no to those offerings. So I said, okay, let me pray about it. So that's the very polite way of, saying no. But because I said so, I prayed. And God gave this word from the Second Corinthians. If you are all out of our mind, as some say, it is for God. If we are in our right mind, it is for you. So I thought, it's like going out of my mind being in Mie, where there's nothing I can do about or I know anyone. But if it's for God, that could be something that God want me to do. So that's what I decided in my mind and go for Mie and start church planting. So our whole family moved to Mie area in spring of 2018. I look up the map and try to find Mie, and as Seth said, it's hard to explain where. So here's the map of Japan. I'm not sure if you're familiar with. Tokyo is on the east middle of the mainland. Osaka is right there, and Nagoya is right here. It's kind of middle of Japan, and Mie is southwest of Nagoya area. So it's close to Nagoya. It's about an 1 hour drive from Nagoya, but it's a very countryside. And there's 1.7 million people, but only over 90 churches there. So not so many churches and not so many people living in huge area. If you look at the population density, you can see how rural the Mie area is. Not you can it's not a best place to start a church. If I could choose anywhere within Japan, I would never choose Mie. But since the project is about planting a church in Mie area for some reason, I cannot change the Mie prefecture. But I could choose anywhere in Mie area. So that was hopeful. So I started looking into starting a church and sit down and try to think, what do I need to start a church? What is that we need to start a church? You know, you need prayer, of course. You need a lot of things, but we gotta have this strategy. How are we gonna start a church? There are many aspects of strategy, like, what is our primary target? Is it the kids or the elders or, the families or, single moms? There could be many primary targets. Also, we are always limited in our budget. So what can we do with this budget? Or what kind of worship service do I want to present? So there are many aspects of strategy, but tonight we're going to focus on the location. So what is the strategically best location in this area? So that's what I was thinking about. So I think it differs in all countries and in context. So there usually say there are three possible locations to start a church in Japan. First, the best, usually it's considered to be the best location, is the near train station. Because it's a place a lot of people come and go. So if you have a church in your train station, there's more likely, the chances are higher that people will find your church and come in. So it's usually considered to be the best locations. Second possible location is near residential areas. People in Japan tend to live in condensed residential areas. if you look into the buildings, you know if it's a middle class or upper middle class. So you can narrow your target, and these are places where actually people live. So you can reach out to a lot of people there. So train station is the best, usually called, but the residential is also a very good place. The third possible location is the rest of the place. So it's usually called the suburb area. It's place not many people live, not dense, but lands are cheap and large. So it's kind of place you could choose from, but people don't usually choose these kinds of places. So there were many pastors giving me advice to choose the place near the train station, so it's more likely to succeed. But I was praying and I was thinking, is it really true? Is it really true? Is it the place near train station is the best? Is it really true? It might be true in Tokyo or Nagoya, Osaka area, but in the countryside like Mie, it's a totally different story. Train stations, people go to train stations by car. They don't walk to the train station in Mie area. So you have to, drive to the station, church station, and you have to park a car there. So what's the point of having church in near train stations? Parking fees are expensive. Of course, it's not that expensive compared to Tokyo or Nagoya area, but almost all parking spaces are considered to be free in Mie. But parking spaces in near train station are, have fee, so it's not free, so it's considered to be expensive, and rent fees are high. Or you can borrow only small spaces. What about residential areas? It's very funny that I heard this pastor saying that, Japanese Christians don't go to church in their town. Why is that? They say, because you don't want your neighbors to see you going to the church or coming out of the church, because that will reveal that you're a Christian. That's something that you don't want to do. So people go to the church next town, so you know people don't see you as a Christian. So that's kind of funny way of thinking, but that's a very interesting thing I thought is to consider. Also, rent is high in residence areas. Well, what about suburb areas? There are enough parking spaces, and even you go to church, no people will see you going in and out of the church. And the rents are usually inexpensive in suburb areas. I said there's 1.7 million people living in my area, but there's 1.4 million cars registered in my area. So almost all people have their own car. So car is something that is they use to go shopping or move around. So the most important thing is to have enough parking spaces, for the cars. So that I decided that we want to choose the suburb area for our strategic location, and that I started looking for church locations. But almost all pastors that I know were against my theory. And there is almost no successful, a churches who tried this suburb area church planting. There's no success stories. All the stories are failures. They planted church in suburb area but didn't go well, and just they closed down. That's what I heard. So it's very risky thing to try, but that was my strategy at the time. So we have the strategy. So I started looking for a location. I was very confident that I could find the place in a month or two, or half a year at most. So I went to the real estate around my area and the next town and other places and asked for, a location that I can borrow for this amount of budget. And we have to live, our family of six has to live, and we have to have a large space for like 23 people together and have a worship service. And the people here, their real estate heard all my stories, and they say, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can offer you. There's no place for you. And there were some candidates, but the landlord said, no, you don't want this place to be, religious place. Just say no, 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 and no. After 14 months, after I start searching for the location for our church, we have no more candidates left. Not even real estate, they would not even, listen to my story. They would just say no. And I was almost, about to give up. And there was a phone call, phone call from a missionary that I know. And he said, there's a place I want to show you. He said he wants to show you, he wants to show me a place. And I wasn't, excited about it because he showed me some places before. It was like very old, places and no fancy or, it's just, strange places and almost in the mountainside or, it was, terrible. So I didn't expect anything from him. But he led me to this place like this. How does it look like? I thought it's beautiful. It's a beautiful house. From the far away, this green tea leaves are harvested near the place. It's a totally suburb area. Not many people actually live. It's near highway interchange. So, but place is was so beautiful. So it was not just a house; it was land, the surroundings, and it was 207 to 2,700 square meters of land. So enough for 40 or 50 cars to park there. A beautiful house and a lot of parking spaces. Six family, our family could live, and there was enough space for 30 people together. So it was perfect location for me. I said, no way the landlord will just let us, rent this place because it was for sale. It was never for rent, but we have no budget to buy it right away. But who knows? Just let's talk to the landlord anyway. So we scheduled a meeting with the landlord and start to talk. She had a son, and she told me this story that her son goes to a private school founded by a missionary. So the almost all kids there are missionary kids. So the moms there are all the missionaries. So the landlord asked those missionary moms and that there's this church that wants to borrow my a house. What should I do? And all the missionary moms said, "Oh, you should let them borrow your house. You'll be blessed. You'll be so blessed." And this lady, landlord, was so ready to let us borrow this place. And we could not afford to buy right away. So, in 5 or 6 years, we're gonna buy. So can we rent this place? And she's very, happily uh, let us rent this place. So we found out that God has already prepared the perfect location for us to start a church. Just we didn't saw it until the perfect timing. He was waiting for the perfect timing to come so he could show his greatness and glory and grace. So we made a contract and moved in right away, and this is how it looks like right now. We had this white cross on the front, and the it's Christmas season, so we just made the illumination last week, so it looks beautiful at night. Because it's a suburb area, it's pitch black. You can see the stars very clearly, and because it's pitch black, these illuminations are so beautiful here. It's not just the place, it's, the people here. We started our family of six, and one old lady joined our church planting project. And that was the beginning of our church. I knew no one here, and we started build up our relationships with the neighbors and Christians around this area. So they gave us good informations and introduced people here. And August of this year, we have grown to be this beautiful community here in suburb area. And it's, for me, it's a miracle to have these people. Most of them are Christians, but they're non-Christians in here, and they love to come to our church and share food and spend time with us and have cup of coffee. I like to brew coffee, so I just give coffee and talk about their lives. And they love our church, and we love our neighbors. And this great church was built in this rural area. People say you're never gonna success in those kind of place. But God has different plan for us, and He had a great plan that would, lead us to a great church. So I'm gonna wrap up and go back to the first questions. What is the great or an ideal church locations? Finding a ideal church location, we need a great strategy. All starts here. You have to listen to your people around you, your pastors or your advisors, you or even your neighbors will have give you a great insights of choosing the best strategy to build a church. A good church starts with a good strategy. But it's not just the strategy. If it's only the strategy, it's like, building a McDonald's or, Starbucks. It's no different than that. But building a church is not about, strategy. It's not just about, numbers or possibilities. You need to ask for God's guidance. It definitely has to have God's guidance. Otherwise, we'll be just building another, Starbucks or something. You have to pray. We all have to pray and listen carefully to all the people around us and how God will guide us through His plan. So my conclusion here is an ideal location, and we need a perfect balance of these two. A good strategy and God's guidance, and perfect balance will guide you to a ideal location God has prepared. So my conclusion is an ideal location is not something you find, but it's something that is being found through the perfect balance of man's strategy and God's guidance. That's my conclusion for tonight. And that's what I have experienced and experiencing right now. So uh, my story is not ends there. My story continues. I got this text message from the landlord at the beginning of this year, and she said she changed her mind, and she do not want to sell the property anymore. She want me to us to rent a place, but she want to increase the rent fee for 40% next year and want to increase the rent fee every 10% more every year. This is something crazy, I mean, to offer. I mean, okay. I got this message. I thought, okay, God is doing something. God wanna do something, and God is telling us to challenge to found a new place. This is no more, the best place. It's not anymore an ideal place. Actually, we were so crowded. It's so hard to find a seat, even in Sunday worship service. It was too small anyway. So our new journey just began. It's been about 9 months. I will look into all the places you could buy or rent in this area. Once there's nice place, and once we start praying, the place being sold by someone else. And it's like that for 9 months, and we have no more candidates left over for us to choose from. So I'm sure God has a great place for us to move and move up to the next level, and so we are still struggling. So please pray for our church, and so we could not miss God's guidance for the new location, and our whole community will move to a new location, and even grow bigger and preach the gospel to more people around this area, so more people will come to the Lord and be our one of our members. So that's it for tonight, and thank you for listening.
Thank you,
Thank
Pastor.
you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And what a great story. And it's a testimony to God's grace. And we're praying that there will be another location, if not even better than what you have now.